Are you seriously going to eat, you fat blibbity blabbity blob? I mean, some of you might be like,
continual.
why would I want to start this?
Sensitive. She's sensitive.
You are listening to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast, where we share stories that are, you guessed it, unscripted.
That's the thing, this journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't really
right?
end. We have a general sense of the topic each episode, but really the whole point is just to show up and be authentic and let our inner child speak its truth. And I have continued to work through that story of constantly hearing, well, we don't want, got a hot dog on our hands. Yeah, guess what, Mr. Sabatsky, you do. So I'm so excited that you are here, and it is my hope that you hear yourself somewhere in the story so that way you can feel seen and heard as well. So let's start talking. All right, quick pause because I need to talk a little bit about what I've been building behind the scenes of these guns. Just kidding. But actually, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Because for those of you that have been tuning in, you know that I love to work out and I basically live at the gym. But I also know if I'm going to put in that kind of time that I want to get the most out of it. And I know that muscles don't just grow from the hard work alone at the gym. I have to bring the right materials to the job site. And so for me, to keep that super simple, is my 2 isogenic shakes that I drink every single day and have for almost 10 years. That's like a long-term relationship right here. Me and my shakes, baby. The longest one I got going right now. But I drink my post-workout shake, and then I have my afternoon shake as my little treat because they are packed with high-quality protein, vitamins, and minerals, so I don't have to think about it. They are my nutrition insurance policy, and they have helped me completely change my body composition because they are the building blocks that my body needs to recover, to repair, so it can get stronger every single day. So I want you to think of it this way. If your body is the house, your workouts are the blueprint. Think of these shakes as the nails, the bricks, the 2x4s, the shingles, everything your body needs to build this strong, healthy home. It is the whole dang toolbox in a convenient shake that you can slam in 30 seconds if you want. I prefer to savor mine because I still love them after all this time. So the real question is, are you showing up to the job site ready to build, or are you leaving everything to chance and leaving gains on the table because you're not being intentional about how you fuel your muscles? Don't let that be you, please. Let's fuel smart and let's give our body the resources so it can build that strong, healthy home. If you are looking for that option and looking for some help, I will drop the link in the show notes below so that way you can grab yours. And one more thing, if this podcast has helped you or your inner child feel seen, feel heard, feel valued, understood, a little more human and a lot less alone, you can support this mission by becoming a part of the Tami Talks Patreon. Because this isn't just my mission. This is your inner child's mission. This is our collective healing mission to help wake up the adults within us, to help honor the stories that shaped us, to help transform more people's pain into purpose so that we can all remember that we were worthy of love. And so if that is a mission that you want to get behind and support, you can click on the link in the comments below and join the Patreon.
Just don't want to laugh right away. That would be weird.
Just get the wiggles out. Okay. Are we ready?
Okay, we're ready. Breathe.
Here we go.
Okay.
Welcome to the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast. I am here with my dear friend and another soul sister and all of those things, Miss Erika Sweeney.
Hey.
Hey. And this has been a long time coming because we have been talking about you being a guest for a while now.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to be on her podcast.
Check it out.
She has a podcast called My Fit Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And our friendship started before that, before either of us knew that we would be in the podcast world, but it's kind of cool how this has connected us.
Yeah.
But I think we first met at the gym. You're like, who is that buff chick? Like,
Yeah, I walked over to you and Karina and I'm like, I'm new here, but you guys look amazing.
But then you hop on your Instagram and you're like, what? Because you've done bodybuilding shows and like, holy hell, girl.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can dive a little bit into that journey today.
Sure.
But I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna like stand next to this bodybuilder chick because she looks really cool.
I was like, look at her. She would kick my ass on the stage.
No. But then I think so we had followed each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I mentioned this on last week's episode with Brittany in that because I was posting angel number things and just some like spiritual stuff in my stories, some people would reach out and be like, oh my gosh, you see these things too. And you were one of those people that was like, I'm not the only one that sees these things. I'm not the only one that feels this way. And I'll never forget the little Zoom call that we had and you started sharing some of the stuff. And I was like, oh, girl, like this is, again, when you shine your light, you help people find you.
Yeah.
You help your people find you. And we
Yeah.
were absolutely meant to connect on many levels, whether it was just, I mean, I think we initially thought like, oh, we have fitness in common. And then I was like, oh,
Oh, we're like that.
yeah. I like that. We're like that. Yes. Yes, we are.
Oh, but I think you're right. You really raise your vibration when you're authentic to your true self and to allow people that are on that same wavelength to come with you. And it just helps you to grow that way and give you confidence and reassurance. And it's been an amazing journey being able to find what my authentic vibration really is, right? Because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just calling this out here for her is that even though she is a podcast host and an amazing one at that.
Oh, thank you.
You were terrified to come on and be sitting in the guest chair.
Terrified. I already canceled one appointment. It's like, I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love listening to podcasts. I just think everybody has a story to share. Everybody's life has lessons and importance and value that other people can find. But the thought of sitting here talking about me is like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah. So like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm excited.
I'll drink more water.
I'll be gentle on little Erika. It's okay.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had some coffee dates and talking about this journey going through basically your own spiritual awakening and how that changes aspects of your life and relationships in your life and the way that you view the world and the way that you want to show up. And so it's been really amazing to have someone like you in my corner as well, who understands that. And again, speaks that butterfly language because you've been through that metamorphosis. You've been through that change. And so let's kind of start there of where some of that started to shift for you.
I've been doing a lot of that, thinking about what those when moments are.
Yeah.
But I can say, gosh, there's so many. In 2019, I had a difficult start to the year. For personal reasons, including my young dog ate gum with xylitol in it and passed away. So watch your gum, my sweet husky Miska. And that was one of many things going on in my life at that time. And, we're running a big business, trying to manage lots of employees. I had kids, some in college and some still in school, and trying to balance the mother and the entrepreneur and the wife and life, like everybody can understand. And, so my sweet Miska was in the hospital and they weren't able to save her, but I told her, I said, I was crying with her and I said, well, if you have to go, I said, make sure you send me a cardinal, just send me a cardinal, send me a cardinal. And I had never, I think I've always had a little intuition towards it, but never asked for something so specific.
Yeah.
And just begged her. And unfortunately, she lost her battle. And I remember the day after she passed away, and I'm in the shower just bawling, right? Because anybody who has a fur baby knows how they're part of your family, and to have it be so young and tragic.
Right.
And I'm getting goosebumps already.
No, same.
So I'm in the shower and I'm bawling, and I look out the window, I can see, and there's a tree, and on that tree is a cardinal. And again, it was so like at that place, at that time, at that moment, that I've never seen one there beforehand.
Yep.
And, I think with signs, we think that it's just going to be like magical poof.
Right. Right.
Like it doesn't count unless you've got all the glitters and coming out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time after that going, okay, that feels really authentic to me, but was that my imagination? Was a coincidence?
Right. Ego trying to convince you that like, oh, that was just
it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so the cardinal then became my sign. So anytime I was having a difficult time, I would ask, and then I would see a cardinal at the right moment.
Yep.
And I had this voice in my head that said, life is short.
Yeah.
Those things that you want to do, you don't know how much time you have. You don't know what could happen. It's time you go for it. And I had been following Lisa Farron from Custom Fitness Specialists on social media because I had local businesses through my business. Yeah. And I've been watching bodybuilding and always thought that would be so cool to be a bodybuilder. And so I'm like, what the heck? Like there's a voice in my head saying, you know what? Just do it. And I didn't have time. I was working 50 hours a week. I was a mom. There's no way I had time, but I made an appointment with Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, if you're listening. And went to meet with her in June. And I was like, so, I work out a couple days a week and thought that'd be kind of cool to be a bodybuilder. I have no idea what that entailed.
Right. What did I just sign up for?
Oh, yeah. And so I sat down with her and she's like, well, if we're going to compete in the fall, you got to get moving. We got to go now. And I'm like, well, sign me up because if I think about it, I'm not going to do it.
Yep. Oh, inspired action.
Yeah.
Just go
Went
before
for
your
it.
ego can get in there and talk you out of it.
Yes. So I signed up and again left and went, what the heck?
I swear in here all the time. You're fine.
I would say another word, but I'll try not to. And then, it was a couple weeks later, we did a group practice. And so I went to their gym and I walk in and there's this beautiful young thing with her bikini on, practicing her posing. What the heck? You're a 45-year-old mom who does not look like that. What are you thinking? And I literally cried on the way home because I knew I couldn't let myself down. I knew I had to see it through.
Oh,
but I was so petrified and mad at myself for signing up for it. It was ridiculous. I didn't tell anybody. I was not really on social media. I told, my immediate family, my work family, my dad, and the rest of my family didn't find out until like the night before or the day of. So I went through, learned what tracking was. I had no idea the amount of discipline it was going to take for that. And I really, I said to my husband, I said, I just want to get on stage. He's like, no, you don't. You want to win. Because that's my husband. And I was like, no, I really just want to try to get on stage. And I didn't really know if I could go through that because that's a big deal. Like to stand up there in front of
oh my gosh.
But anyways, long story short, 2019, I got to my first show, huge competition. There were like 20 women in the figure category. And I took third out of open and lost to the Courtney Spaeth, who's a good friend of mine now. And I was hooked. So I got my pro card in my second season or second show in 2019. So then 2020 hits. I was supposed to compete in March and canceled 2 weeks before the show. So I spent 2020 focused on Natural Olympia. Yeah. Because Courtney, who had beat me, had competed there. So that was my direction when it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
So if you have something to focus on when you have so much noise in your head. So I ended up competing in 2020, went to Las Vegas to compete in Natural Olympia as a pro at age 47 in my second season and placed well, had an amazing time. But it was not an easy journey, both personally and my relationship and everything else. But I'm so glad I did. It changed my life. So that is the quick version of my bodybuilding story.
Well, what I have to go back to is when you were in the car crying and you had said, I knew I couldn't give up on me.
Yeah.
Like I'm full goosebumps because this is an inner child podcast, basically.
Right.
And that's what that is like, keep your promise. You said you were going to do something and that little girl, like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. You believe in me, and ego swoops in and it creates doubt and fear and worry, but somewhere in you're like, I am going to keep my promise to that little girl. And it doesn't matter. Even if we just get up on stage, I just need to keep my promise to you. I'm going to show up for you. You are worthy of the time and the effort and the energy. That's huge. That's a beautiful way to reparent. And when you're tapped into something like that versus it being about this external validation that I need to win, that's ego.
Yeah.
Right. But you're doing this like, I need to do this for me. I need to show up for me. And I need to keep that promise to me. That's keeping all of that little girl inside of you hears that. It's like, especially when you've been a mom and you're working and all of these things and you haven't made yourself a priority.
Right, exactly.
You had that one moment where you were going to, oh, hell yeah. She's like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say is, we had built a successful business from the ground up. I've raised kids. I've taken the journey from being a single mom into having a family and all the things I never even dreamed of coming true in that aspect of my life. But this was me.
Yes.
I was the only one who was involved in the work, in the success or in the process. It was not me sacrificing to be for other people. It was all about, like you said, just not rewarding, but being present for myself, which was a huge game changer in my life for sure.
Oh, can I say that again? Let's repeat that.
Yeah.
Being present for you and making yourself a priority was a game changer.
Yeah.
For so many people, putting yourself first, making yourself a priority feels like such a selfish thing to do. when really it's the most selfless thing you can do because of how that can change your life, which then ends up impacting so many other people in a positive way.
Right.
But when we don't, and we're constantly putting ourselves on the back burner, that's when you start getting resentful.
Yeah.
That's when you are facing burnout.
Yeah.
That doesn't serve anyone.
Yeah. You get tired real quick. Or
Yeah.
maybe not even real quick, but over time, you don't have that fire. It just
Yeah.
doesn't have that same energy and vibration as when you have something that you feel so excited and passionate about.
Right.
Definitely changes your tune for sure.
Well, and you turn off autopilot, right?
Yeah.
Because how many of us are just going through the everyday motions and going through life? And you're right, there isn't that fire. It's just that little flame just
Right.
flicking away and just like come on, do something. And
Yeah.
it's different when you find that thing, something that you're excited about, and then you have to follow that. When you get that little, hint of curiosity, or oh, I wonder, or that thought that just keeps coming back. Like you said, like I've always kind of wondered. I've always kind of thought about bodybuilding, but gosh, me, 45?
Right. Yeah. And you always think people that do things are just, they look so different to you.
Yeah.
Like someone a professional bodybuilder, I'm not that, but really I am. That's a really hard
Yeah.
identity crisis
Ooh,
to
you
have.
are.
It's just, I think I remember one time I was doing a practice and it was with one of the coaches and I was like, oh, well, if I get on stage, she's like, you're already in this. Like, you need to start thinking that you are a bodybuilder. You need to believe that you are. And with anything that you are going to commit to yourself, you need to make that decision that that's part of your identity so you can go for it. Because if you go, well, maybe someday, well, if I were, you're not going to get there.
Claim it and own it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And I've had this conversation recently about how sometimes we see ourselves differently, or ego won't let you see yourself the way other people see you. And that's why I have a hard time receiving compliments about my body. If people are like, oh, you're so shredded, like I still don't see that. Like I see the 40-pound overweight college girl who's got her shirt wrapped around her waist. But then I can look in the mirror at the gym like, no, that's not who you are. But it's like this distorted image still.
Yeah.
And to be able to actually own that and claim that, that's hard.
Yeah, it is. But we have so many identities throughout our life. Again, being a parent and a wife and a business owner and whatever you do, you can be all of the things. I mean, if you weren't the person you were back in high school, you wouldn't be the person you are now. So I think learning to embrace all of it is just part of that learning process that once you start understanding that, it really opens up doors for sure.
Yeah. So you had mentioned relationships, and obviously when you're going through that process, that's going to change some things, right? Because you do have to be selfish in a way. You have to really protect the work that you're doing, whether that's the time in the gym, that's the meal prep, or not going to be able to go out to eat, or it's going to change dynamics, but not even just with your husband, but other people like friends and family watching you do this.
Yeah.
How did you work through that?
Well, being a recovering people pleaser, it is very hard. It was hard. I waited until my two older kids were out of the house because then I felt gave myself a bit more permission. But it was hard on my marriage and, just switching roles a bit and being selfish with my time, and anything in marriage takes a lot of work. I am blessed with a wonderful husband who we have an amazing relationship, but it's still just communication was hard. We had to learn how to work together on things. Like the real estate side of things has always been his passion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, we were able to work together to build something, but that was not like authentic to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to sit down and have a conversation to get me all jazzed up, we're not going to talk about real estate. It just doesn't give me the same energy.
Right.
Like I like it, like I can do it, but it doesn't give me the butterflies.
Yeah.
It keeps me awake at night with the stress. Whereas like podcasting and fitness and improving yourself and personal growth, like that keeps me awake at night going, oh, we could do this or we could do that. So it was hard.
In the same way that you can respect that that's something that he's passionate about, you kind of want that same in return.
Exactly.
Like, hey, I've been cheering you on and supporting you in this. Now that the tables have turned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hard transition, to be honest. It was especially in 2021, because again, the world was so weird at that point.
Weird. Yeah.
And I almost quit mid-season, partly for that reason, just because it put a lot of strain on my family. And guilt and blame is something that I push away as often as I can, but likes to come back at me real quick.
Right. Like you think like, if I just step away and avoid this, it'll just magically disappear.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, it actually gets way worse.
Yeah, totally. So that was something, but my husband at that time was like, you can't give up. Like your goal was to go to Vegas. You have got to stick through it. And going to that final show, he was there holding my bag for me and cheering the loudest. And I remember, as a story I tell sometimes, it was the morning of Natural Olympia finals, and walked down. I had my USA jumpsuit on, and I'm walking through this big, massive room at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, about to compete on stage. And it was one of those moments where you just stop and go, like, this is like the crazy dream that I started a couple years ago that I didn't think could actually happen.
Oh yeah.
And I walk in and I just get overcome with them, and I just start crying. And I'm one of those people that I cry very easily, and I don't stop.
Yep.
So then I had to go get my lashes done, and they couldn't put the lashes on because I'm crying. And I'm like, my allergies are so bad because my eyes were watering so bad. But it was just really one of those, because again, it's all you. Like, you can't say, I'm quick to say, well, it was successful because this person. I don't like to take accolades or ownership of anything, but that was one that I could own, and it felt darn good.
Oh,
sure.
Again, so healing for your inner child to be like, no, own this. You did this. You put in the work.
Right. And celebrate it.
And celebrate it.
Celebrate the fact that we did something we didn't think we could do. Why do we feel like we have to sweep it under the rug and not be proud of it? So hello, social media. There went all my crazy pictures.
Yeah. Well, I know we've talked about, you mentioned my intro and the whole hot dog thing all the time. Like, you get it. You resonate, because it's like, in this moment, I want to be able to celebrate this. And I should be able to celebrate this without feeling like, oh, because I'm shining my light, that means I'm dimming someone else's. Like, no, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not. And by you shining your light like that, you show other 45, 47-year-old women that this is possible.
Yeah. And that's what came with the My Fit Tribe, was in the 2019, is I met so many amazing people on that bodybuilding journey. I mean, you think of bodybuilders as like these arrogant meatheads who don't talk, and like there's just that impression of it. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but all of a sudden you've got people behind the stage that are helping you, and they're cheering you on, and they're on social media saying, nice to meet you. And it's all this positive energy. And I was, again, one of those intuitions, like, boy, if we could have that for life,
just bottle that up, sell that shit.
Honestly, like, what a game changer. So that was planted, and that was, again, crazy busy with business. So it was just kind of like, okay, well, it's going to sit there. And it's amazing when things are meant to be, which I'm going to have to play this back for myself when I have doubts in the future, but they don't go away. They stick there until you are forced to put them front and center and go for it, for sure.
Well, and I've talked on this podcast a million times about, when you find that gift or you find that light, like, you want to be able to share that with others. You had this moment like, what if I could create a community around this and inspire more people and share this with more people, rather than just keeping it to yourself, because ego wants you to play small and it wants you to dim your light. And no, that's not why you were given that. That's not why you went through that process and that journey. But you're going to have people who are going to project their stuff onto you and make you feel, unless you let them, like, feel bad about it, and that you need to play small, or that you're bragging or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is at all. We need more people to step up on that stage. I'm just trying to show the way. Like, if this isn't for you, this isn't for you, but find what it is that inspires you.
And you really have to just, if I can do this crazy stuff, anybody can. It really doesn't take the other person. Like, if you want to do something, it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes discipline, and it takes a lot of failures. You got to pick yourself up a lot. Darn it, if you want to do something, you can do it for sure.
This is so funny. I love how the universe works, because my good friend Alicia, she went out on the retreat with us. She had just watched the episode I did about if they wanted to, they would, and the whole let them thing. And she just tagged me in it last night because she listened to it. She's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was still carrying this energy around that. And I was like, I haven't listened to that episode in a while, because that was like episode 40 or 50 or something like that. So I was listening to it this morning as I was getting ready. And that was kind of what I was talking about. Like, there's so many things that we would love to do, we want to do. And it could just be as simple as like, I I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to, a better career, but there's reasons why we're not. And so that whole, like, if they wanted to, they would, or if I wanted to, I would. Like, yeah, but if you've got all of these ego stories and all of this conditioning and all of these fears and doubts and worries, it prevents you from doing the thing. But when you have that one little moment of inspired action. And if you can get through that, like, you can kind of beat ego to the punch and be like, and like anchor into that. And that's why having a community and a tribe will help you stay anchored into that, because absolutely ego is going to keep creeping back up on you. And it's creeped into both of us in this podcast world.
Absolutely.
We were talking about before we hit record on what you guys don't see behind the scenes is how freaking hard this is and how much work it is and how many times it's like, is anyone listening? Is this helping anyone? Am I reaching anyone? How am I going to keep this going?
Right.
Because there is an energetic cost. There's an actual cost to doing this work. And it's trusting that it's all for something and for a reason and for a purpose. But damn, it's hard.
And you've talked on your podcast many times before about when you're an empath and how you soak up all that energy too. And that's part of it as well. But, anytime I've done something hard, there've been many times where I've wanted to jump ship.
Yep.
From the moment I said yes to the first failure to the fifth failure. I mean, it's not just falling down once. Luckily, with running a business, I had to figure it all out, and you just, when something bad happens, you can't go, that's it. I'm not meant to do this. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you have got to do it. But when you get to that horizon that you've been envisioning, it's a hallelujah moment just to be like, wow, after all of that, you can sit there and go, I, Erika Sweeney, just accomplished that. And to be able to own that, again, like, I've never had anybody tell me, oh, you shouldn't be a bodybuilder. You shouldn't post your pictures. People think it, I don't care. But it's the little Erika that, that doesn't feel she should share, or, once again, keep her light dim, because I'm just Erika. Like, I'm just Erika
I'm going to correct you, because I think about my kids when they would go to the supermarket and dress as superheroes and not care. Your inner child, no fear. They didn't care what anyone thought of them. Like, that's your inner child. Your ego is the one saying, like, yeah, you're just Erika. You're nothing special. But if you get even deeper, little Erika, she's the one that got you on stage. Like, oh, check this out.
She did. It's so funny because there's, my stage pictures. There's like one picture with a smile on my face. So if I ever compete again, there's going to be a big smile on there because I was just so intense. It's just funny.
Oh, you're badass is what you were. Channeling that energy. Heck yeah.
I had my moments.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, like, as so many amazing moments in my life, but this is all me and for me.
Ooh, and I just think about, I mean, this isn't just for women, but we obviously are, and we can speak to that, but just to have that moment in your life, and big or small, but to do something for you.
Yeah.
Where, you know what? I have made my life about being of service to other people, and I have been a caregiver and all of those things, but where have I done something for me? Where have I made myself proud?
Right.
Because when you think about it, and that was kind of going back to that episode, what kind of inspired it was that I was in the emergency room with a friend and there was a cold boo. And I just, being an empath, I'm like feeling all of that.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I don't know what happened to that person, but I couldn't help but wonder, if they passed, did they have regrets? Right. Were there things that they wish they could have done and never did?
Right.
Because they couldn't do this work to work through their ego, to be able to step into that thing and to do the scary thing and to take the inspired action? I don't want anyone to have their final days look back like, oh.
Yeah. And that's what I said in 2019. I'm like, I don't want the end of my life to come, and I don't want to say, well, I would have done that, but I don't want to have a what if. And, at this point in my life, I've accomplished more than I could have ever dreamed of. I mean, I remember, again, being a single mom at age 20, blessed with this beautiful son, but so uncertain to what my future was going to hold. No idea. I couldn't even see 5 feet ahead of me, more or less 10 years or 30 years, and to have a beautiful family and a home and the success and like all of it. I have no regrets, but that's been an interesting journey too, because then when you've accomplished, or you all these things that you never expected, and all of a sudden you get to that horizon, and then you're like, but now, and that's weird. 'Cause I'm like, I have more than I deserve, or that I expected, or could have imagined, but yet I'm missing that fulfillment or something. And so that's been kind of the last few years trying to figure out what's next, because the universe is going to keep throwing things at me, which is great because I'm ready to learn. So,
well, and I love that you're eager and you want to continue to learn and you want to continue to create impact. And when you think about like, what is my purpose and why am I here? And obviously there's something in there like, okay, my purpose isn't done because I'm still not completely fulfilled. And it doesn't feel like it's from an ego thing, like, oh, you haven't achieved enough.
right.
Like, it's not necessarily that, but it's like, I know there's something, and whether that comes through the podcast or other opportunities through that there's something about impacting and leaving this world a better place and helping people heal through stories. And I think I love that we have that in common. And it's like, and it's doing it in different ways in our own style and being able to support each other.
Right.
And Brittany and I were talking about this last week too, of it never feels like this competition kind of thing, because you have people in your life where there is that energy and like, ew, I don't want that.
Can't do it.
No, like
Nope.
I love being able to be a cheerleader and cheer you on. And you were one of the first people that, I mean, she was, go back to some of those early episodes, my first sponsor.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like, what? You see something in me? You want to see this grow? You want to, and
yeah.
You know, and we were just talking about like how hard that is to put ourselves out there and to ask for that kind of support.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that, like, oh,
well, I mean, for me, being able to help people is just huge to me, which is why the podcast is awesome, because everybody has a different story and growth looks different for people. I mean, whether it be your nutrition or your fitness or your spirituality, and there's so many aspects of inner child or whatever that is going to look differently. So if you can provide those resources and connect people that can help each other to maybe that one conversation or that one word that you hear that all of a sudden sparks a, okay, wait a minute, maybe I can. And that's where my life changes is when I said, well, maybe I can. Maybe I can end up in Las Vegas on a stage. What? And when you say to yourself, maybe I can, and then you do, oof, look out, world.
Yeah. Oh, I goes again.
Our muscles have got goosebumps.
Let's talk a little bit about that, of just what weight training and lifting is for you, because I've shared that a million times on here of how like it is not about burning calories and even like at this point like building muscle. Like sure, that's a great cherry on top, but I know that you have a very similar relationship with exercise that I do and how that helps you mentally, physically, spiritually, all the things.
Oh yeah, it's my jam. You know, I used to work out at the gym like 3 days a week doing whatever. Didn't really have organized structure. A friend of mine I started running just for fun, which I hate running and I don't do it for fun. I don't do it at all. Just to be clear, I hate running. But I had gotten to a point where I could run more than 5 seconds. Which was good for me. But a friend of mine said, hey, I'm doing a half marathon. This was in 2014, I think. Doing a half marathon, you should sign up. I'm like, I don't run. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. Let's just sign up. Well, again, you sign up for it. You commit to it. I'm not going to let myself down. So that was the first moment where I had to follow through with something workout wise. And, you know, I started out going, okay, I'm going to finish that half marathon in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then as I worked towards it, that time got shorter. And then I got close. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do under 2. And I got it in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 58 seconds or something like that. But, you know, again, that was like, okay, it gave me that goal and that structure, that room for improvement. But then just the lifting for me, I feel strong. I go to a zone where I just connect with myself. Group classes are great and all. That's where I used to do some work, but now that's my me time. And I can just concentrate and I see progress, but not, like you said, not for the vain reasons, but just because I need to keep improving in whatever it is I'm doing in my life. And it saved me. I mean, there's no way I could have dealt with the stress of the last 15 years if I wasn't at the gym. I'd be sitting at a bar or something, you know, it's something unhealthy.
Right. Some other outlet. Right.
Yeah. I'm so grateful. I've said that so many times that I have found fitness as a form of therapy and that I found something that I enjoy that makes me want to keep doing it. Like if I were running, I would probably quit. Over it. Still don't like running.
Well, and everyone has to find their things, and who knows what the gateway is going to be. And it's so interesting. There are several of my friends at the gym, women, that ended up doing bodybuilding show, but it started with a marathon. Like, they wanted to sign up for something, and then all of a sudden it led to like wanting to get stronger. And then wait a second, I think so. It's very cool. Like you never know what that gateway is going to be and what you can do and what you can accomplish. But what I have found too is sometimes ego gets so loud that we are so afraid of failure that we won't even let ourselves try. We won't even entertain the idea about, well, I could never run a marathon. I can't run a mile.
Right.
Well, I think it was in Keith, I'm going to mess his last name up, Vattenhorst.
Another great episode.
Yeah. Oh, the Mental Mountains Project, where he started and now he's climbing mountains and running the Grand Canyon. Like the dude couldn't get off the couch.
Right.
And you're right. So if you can hear a story like that and you can let that seep into your soul a little bit and light something, and that little flame, just let that grow a little bit, who knows what you could do.
Yeah. And it's not always about, getting through the ribbon or getting the reward. But the first and most important thing is you have to get healthy. I think so many people take their health for granted and think, oh, I don't need to make changes, or I'm too old to start lifting weights, or whatever reason. But, having a muscle mass is so important as we age. I feel so passionate about that. And you don't have to lift heavy. They say, they say that when women lift weights, they look like men. And I know some of you may think we're really huge, but we're also hot. What she said.
Mike. Smoke shows.
So, sorry, I had to.
No, do not take that apology back. We are not apologizing for that.
Shoot. Oh, goodness gracious. But it's really important that, if everyone's afraid of looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger if they lift a couple weights, you don't get muscles like us or like Tami, overnight. We work very hard and we lift heavy, and because that's just where we're going. But if you lift weights, it doesn't mean you're going to get bulky.
Right. I remember having that fear, and I used to hate my arms. Hated them. I called them man arms. And now I feel confident. I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing a tank top today. Yeah. And it's funny because I have a friend, Michelle, I know that you're watching. She would always say, like, if I had arms like that, I'd be wearing a tank top in the dead of winter and these things. And I was like, yeah. So it's taken me a while to get through my ego again, because I keep hearing that, don't shine too bright, don't be too proud, don't be bragging. And so, but like, we have every right to feel confident about the work that we have put in.
Yeah. And again, why are people afraid to celebrate something they've worked hard for? You've worked hard for it. You've earned it. That's part of who you are. Celebrate it. You're not being boastful.
Right. And if I can inspire one other woman to be like, I wonder what it would be like if I picked up that heavier weight.
Yeah.
Like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
Because I see women grabbing, a 10-pound dumbbell, and no offense if that's where you're at.
Yeah.
But damn well when you are carrying your groceries in, that weighs well over 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And if you are like me and you create a challenge where you have to carry all of the groceries in one trip, your arms are like this.
My daughter does that.
But or you carry your kids or whatever, they weigh more than that.
Yeah.
But we diminish what we're actually capable of. You are not weak. And I guarantee if I handed you a 20-pound dumbbell, you could curl that.
Yeah. I remember when I met with the trainer, we joined Anytime Fitness initially, and they have those trainer consultations. And again, I never worked out a ton. And he's like, well, what's your goal? I'm like, well, I want to look like I work out. Like, that's my goal. He's like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. I want to look like that girl,
Yeah.
And there's even moments I remember after I competed in 2021, and then I joined a Princeton club that next year because I'd worked out in my garage all during that whole prep because it was COVID, right? And so it was 2022, I think I joined the gym, and I went to one of the gyms. I walked in, I was like I was nervous.
Oh yeah.
Like walking in, because I had been that long since I've been in the gym, and you just kind of feel insecure and you don't know where the equipment is. And I had that memory of being insecure, uncomfortable in that environment. And I walked out of there and I'm like, darn it, Erika, you're a professional bodybuilder.
Yes.
You do not need to be afraid in the gym. So I had to again remind myself of what I've accomplished. Like, you know what? Screw it. Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? No one's watching. Everyone's in their zone. No one is even paying attention.
That is so true. And anyone that is listening, that is true. Everyone's in their own little world.
Yep.
And if anyone ever gave you the look or said something, they are not your people.
Nope.
That is not anyone you want to associate. And if they can't look at someone who's in there to improve themselves,
right?
Like, yeah, no.
And if you're at the gym and you see someone working hard to improve themselves, tell them, say, hey, it's nice to see you here.
Yes.
You look great. Way to go.
And I can't tell you the feeling you get when you go up to someone like, girl, you are killing it.
Yes.
You have transformed. I see how hard you were working out, how much you were lifting. Like, to have another woman pour into you like that. Ooh.
I try to do that like once a week when I'm at the gym. Same. If I see someone, I'm like, because I know how that is. And, we do it for ourselves, but getting that validation externally helps.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
little cherry on top.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a podcast earlier this week, and it was, talking about women lifting. And this was so interesting. I never really thought of it, but very true, is that for women, sometimes you have to bypass all the cardio equipment to actually get to the weight. So here you're coming in already afraid or timid or intimidated.
Right.
And women, we were kind of brainwashed in our era, be as small as you can. And
Right.
the best way is just nonstop cardio all the time. And so to even get yourself through the door and then to get past all the conditioning of what we were told with the cardio equipment to actually get out into the weights where now you don't know what you're doing.
And you're surrounded by men.
And you're surrounded by men.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to feel comfortable in that space. And so I think that's where I have found joy in being a woman that will be in the dumbbells and be in the free weights and to be able to the other women come, you deserve to be here too. You deserve to take up space here too. It's not just for the men.
Absolutely.
Women are welcome.
And you get to the point where you're like, darn right, mister.
Yeah.
I'm here on this bench next to you. Make room for me.
And I may be lifting more than you. That has happened. And it feels really good.
So good. See how we are? Anyways.
So yes, for those.
So celebrate those moments.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I believe this episode will be going out after the big announcement one, but that's what I'm super excited about, is to be able to have a different kind of impact on people, but women especially, to be able to pour into them in a different way of just, this isn't just a workout. This means so much more. This is how you reparent, how you're showing up, how you're keeping your promises, and how you're connecting. Because we really haven't touched on this, but I would love to a little bit, is the spirituality aspect.
So much.
And how that, for me, is just a way to connect with myself. But really, it's you open up that channel.
Goosebumps. Yeah, completely. I mean, I have a hard time meditating where I'm sitting down and able to get into that zone, which would be a whole nother conversation. I feel very close to God when I'm able to work out. And, that's my daily form of meditation for sure.
Yeah. That can look different for everybody.
Absolutely.
Some people do need to be in the meditative state and laying back or whatever it is, but it could just be that you're going for a walk.
Right.
But yeah, lifting, that's absolutely, or running for some people, that's when they get their cool downloads. But you think about how many people aren't making time for those things. You have completely blocked that channel. And so, you feel disconnected and you're not getting these ideas and you're not feeling inspired by life. Because you're not creating that open channel. So God's like, I've got all of these cool ideas and gifts to give you, but
you're not listening.
You're not listening. You're not slowing down.
And there's so many distractions in our life right now. And I think that if I could recommend one thing to everybody, would be you have to eliminate some distractions. You can't eliminate all of them because some of them are crutches and whatever, but Candy Crush was my problem for a while. But whatever it may be, whatever is taking up your time away from doing things that you need to do for you, to improve you, to learn, you should be doing something that is better for you than that. Right. And you know what those are. So,
yeah. Well, and Brittany and I talked last week about sometimes there's a fear. Ego may not even let you minimize the distractions, because if you do get quiet, what's going to come up for you?
That's very
true. And that can be very scary. But I'm hoping that conversations like this, showing people it might be scary initially, but look what comes from it.
Yeah.
When you push past the fear, you got to share that story about the faith over fear in your.
Oh gosh, yeah. So that was a couple months ago, right? That was
just a couple weeks ago.
Just a couple weeks. See how my life is. My brain. Yeah, because it was the whole podcast thing, right? Because I was second guessing it, and your episode about fear had just come out. So I had put Tami Talks on my car to listen to it on my way to the gym. So there's Tami's picture up on my little screen, and I'm heading up to a stop sign. And all of a sudden, the car in front of me said, what did it say?
It said faith over fear, right?
Yeah, there was a little sticker on the back window that said faith over fear. And then right next to it was a hummingbird sticker, which if any of you listened to my episode with Kathy Collins, you would know that. But
I will link that because it's a beautiful episode and talk about
all the things.
Signs and.
But that was one of those, I wouldn't have noticed. It turned left after that. I was behind it for a very short amount of time. And again, life is busy. You don't see them, but a lot of times they're there. And if you just that right moment when that synchronicity happens, you're like, okay, it's okay. You're going to be afraid. that's okay. That's your speed bump. Get over the speed bump.
Right.
You got this.
Right. And continuing to trust and have that faith. Okay, I know I'm being guided. I know that sign that was
Yeah, that
that
was
was not a
clear. I know.
coincidence.
This is so obvious.
And I've shared that a million times and you're like, these signs and synchronicities are out there for everyone.
Right. Yeah. And I've said before, once you are open up to them, the things that can happen, the things you see, they're just so obvious and deliberate where you just have to go, that was not coincidence. That was not by accident.
Right.
And you just have to hold those close and just know that you're not alone and that you just got to keep going in the right direction.
Well, and it helps you do those scary things. It helps when ego wants to tell you that's too risky or you shouldn't do that. And you get that little sign, you're like,
Yeah.
nope, I feel like,
And I needed everything about that
yeah,
because that moment with the podcast is as much as I love it, like you mentioned, all the work it takes to go into it and then running a business on the side still and having the energy to do it and then the financial
Yeah.
issues and it's a lot. And I was like, maybe nobody really is downloading. Maybe no one's listening. Maybe I'm not impacting like I thought I could. And that's the reality is that am I really impacting people? Do people really listen?
yeah.
And getting that message and then what came after that was like, okay,
Right.
yeah.
Well,
Pretty
and
cool.
it always happens that way. And if people could
Isn't it
understand
cool?
that, that's why I try to share. It's every freaking time there's some sort of breakdown or roadblock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now it's like I'm getting faster at moving through that because I now know this pattern. I'm like, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. Like, you want to give me this little roadblock. You want to make me doubt myself. You want to. But as soon as I can find that lesson, I can figure out how this is happening for me. It's like, boom, there's the gift. There's like the little nugget. It's like, oh, you get the little gift. You get the
Well, I call them breadcrumbs, getting out of
100%.
the forest
Yeah.
because man, sometimes that forest is thick and it's dark and it's really hard to know which way to go to get out. And if you can just find that breadcrumb to go, okay, you're going on the right path, that
Yep.
can be very, very healing.
Yeah.
And again, once I feel blessed that I have gotten those signs and that I'm open to them, that and all the things I've done, not everybody has that opportunity.
I think you've created that though. Like you've been open. I think it's there for everybody, but are you willing to slow down? Are you willing to minimize the distractions?
Yeah.
Are you willing to be intentional about creating that time? Like you have done that. So that's not like some magical fairy dust that was sprinkled on you. Like you've done that.
Yeah.
That's part of the work that you've done is to be intentional, to be
Yeah.
open and aware.
Yeah.
And I think that's, man, maybe the theme of this episode is like, you have to be intentional about your damn life.
You do in every aspect, not your health, your job, your family, your marriage. Marriage doesn't just you don't just get married and have a successful marriage and that's it. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's just life is always going to throw you curveballs and you have to take control of what you want and how to make it better because you can't rely on anybody else to do it for you.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's why I love coming at all of this, always talking about ego, because that's the thing that's always going to try to get in the way and always make you doubt yourself. It's like, if you can dig in and do this work and find the community, find the tribe, find the person, find the podcast, like something that is going to keep you going, keep you inspired.
Yeah.
So that way, when you get hit with those roadblocks or all of a sudden the forest gets real dark, you're like, oh shit.
And, sometimes I'll listen to podcasts, the same podcast over again because it resonates so well with me. And just knowing someone else is going through something similar can be very helpful in the guidance. And again, asking for those signs. And then when you get them, take the gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of gifts, and I'm going to throw this out on her, is because I think when we first met was you recognizing and acknowledging the gifts that you have, like not just the bodybuilding stuff and not just shining that light, but you have some real strong intuitive gifts. And so I'm going to put you on the stage about this to own this
Make me
because
a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, good. But that's real. Some of the downloads that you have gotten, and I remember a conversation, should I share this? And what a gift you gave this person because you shared this little intuitive hit.
Yeah.
And if you would have kept that to yourself, you would have denied that person.
Yeah, there are like 2 people in this world that know about that. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Now there's a whole lot more. No, that's actually really special because it was, really? Should I go into that?
Yes,
oh my goodness. We were at the gym and boy, this goes back a while, but it was now a friend of mine, but older gentleman who expressed to me that he had lost his wife and that he was having some problems with the family and stuff like that. And I lost my dad. It'll be 2 years ago on Monday. Yeah. Right. And again, that whole ending was just so close to me, but I connected with him because I hold that relationship with my dad and the passing of my dad so close to me. And I remember like having, again, like a download, like a voice telling me it's not about him, it's about his kids. Cause I think his kids were distancing from him relationship wise and he didn't know how to fix it. And I was like, that's their lesson to learn. Like, this is not about you anymore. This is their lesson. And I'd never really gotten a voice that wasn't mine like that before. This is really personal.
I love it. Let's go there.
But I really was like, that was weird. I remember going out to my car and doing a voice message too. Like, that was weird. I don't know what that was. Maybe just my imagination. And I sat with it for a bit going, I don't know what to do about it. And it was one of those things where I was going out of town like a week later. I'm like, I really feel like I need to say something to him. And it was just at that moment where I happened to see him, where I could have missed paths.
Just happened to.
Yeah. And I said, this is going to sound really crazy and you can take with it what you want. But, and I shared it with him and he told me about all the signs that he's gotten from his wife and how much that meant to him. And so he and I have had this really great relationship, sharing stories of that and how powerful that was. And he took it, was so thankful for it. And there've been other, moments where I've just had this like intuition, which again, I still count up as a coincidence or just some random little voice in my imagination, because it's not tangible. And it's hard to accept that those messages or those coincidences, those signs are spiritual, because it doesn't seem logical. Right.
Right.
And I still struggle with that. So thank you for throwing that out there. But yeah, it's been interesting. We'll kind of see, the stuff that's happened to me since 2019, those messages that I've gotten and the changes that my life has made because of those messages. It's just been, I could do a whole other episode on all that, but it's been really powerful for me to be able to. I remember when my dad was not doing well, I remember thinking to him, well, I've never shared this, but I remember thinking, well, little do you know, I have a secret phone line to the other side. Not phone lines that old, but you know what I mean? Like, I kind of gave him like a little smirk, like, well, little do you know. And then what happened after that with my dad was just unbelievable. I forget those things and I need to hold those closer to keep me growing spiritually, to remind me that this is more than just me. And it's just, goosebumps. Yeah, there's all the energy around. And I think when we lose someone so important to us and we go through that journey, being open to those connections and knowing they don't leave us is really part of that healing of ourselves. And that's why I've had a couple episodes now about grief, and because that's just so close, such an important part of my life now, for sure.
Well, and I think there's a gift. And when I think about soul contracts, and I've talked about my father-in-law in here, the soul contract that him and I had, he passed, and that was part of my awakening, and how he guided me in so many ways through this journey with the signs and with the synchronicities, and starting to trust myself in that, because it's like, you don't doubt the signs and synchronicities anymore. That feels real to you. You can see them. Like, I saw that on the back of that car.
Right.
But yet when it comes to the downloads I have, I want to second guess it.
Right.
And that's probably part of your lesson, is like, how can I feel just as confident with those intuitive hits that I get as seeing an actual cardinal in front of me?
Yeah.
And to believe that, no, God is now using me as a channel.
Right.
And I am the sign.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
And I've had that before too, where I've like, there's just, this was a couple years ago now, where I just kept having this thought of this person and something they were going through. And I was like, you do it. Kind of, I said the same thing. Like, this is this reoccurring thought. I need to give it to you. You do what you want with it.
Right.
Take what resonates, leave the rest. Think what you want to think. But this isn't leaving me for a reason, and I need to share this.
Yeah.
And then just being able to detach from it. I don't need any validation. I don't need anything. This is coming through. I feel like I need to share it with you.
Right. Or when someone comes in your mind and you're like, I haven't talked to them in a while. Right away, I'm sending a message like, hey, I'm getting a message. Someone called it my spidey sense, because I'll do that. I'll send a message. I haven't talked to you in like 2 years. And all of a sudden you message me, I'm having this health crisis. I'm like, well, that's that secret line. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And to trust that. And I think, again, I've said this a million times, like, there's so much about intuition and following those little hits and those little nudges. And It's so, our thoughts and our energy are powerful.
So powerful.
Just yesterday, there was 3 people that I just like randomly thought of, like, oh, I wonder how they're doing, or I haven't talked to them in a while. And then all of a sudden they sent me a text and I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is. And it happens all the time,
Yeah.
especially when you start realizing it. I think that would be something that's so easy to push it away, at least for me. I just pretend that it's not real. And some of them have been so big for me that it's hard not to validate them. But I think that during my future path, I know that I need to connect more with God that way, with energy, with spirit, just to get those messages and that validation for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I think would be.
Oh, you just made me think of the episode I did about how we try to sabotage a good thing. And I was talking about how I was receiving this gift and I didn't know what to do with it. Like, and like I wanted to give it back because I figured like, I'm going to ruin it. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to whatever. And I think about you and this spiritual gift. And God's like, no, I gave you this gift. Why are you trying to deny it? Why are you trying to box it back up? Why are you trying to give it back? I gave you that gift so you could open it up, play with it, get used to it, practice with it, and then share it.
That's funny because I say that about the signs, but if you're saying that about that's makes me a little uncomfy. You just sit in there, you try that on. But yeah, I mean, as I've said with the signs, you get a gift, take the darn gift. Yeah. There you go. There's my lesson.
All right. We are playing that back for her now over and over again. Yeah. We got to just stop denying our own gifts.
Yeah.
And that's working through ego. No, I was given this for a reason. I'm intuitive. I'm an empath. I'm all of these things. And if that makes other people uncomfortable, I know that light will cast a shadow on the things that they're not willing to look at and they're willing to see. But it's often our own fear of people's thoughts and projections that keeps us playing small, because somewhere in us, like I said, that little girl believes that we are capable of anything.
Right. Yeah.
So when we can kind of sift through that, like, oh, no, this is, this is something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when you can look back at where you were at one point in your life and see where you've come. You have to remember that you have to look at your future and all the things that need to happen. Again, my intuition tells me, I know that there's something deeper there, which is why, again, if I can impact a person or many people or whatever this is going to turn out to be, I just have to remember to trust. So I will replay that for myself.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It is. You have a lot of self-doubt, a lot of questioning. But again, if you really want something, you got to go for it. And you got to hit those speed bumps. You got to keep going. Might slow you down, but can't stop for sure.
All right. And that's all there for a reason. And oftentimes, I think now I see it as there was a little more lesson that we needed to learn there, a little nugget, or maybe something we needed to still heal there. Or sometimes it is that reflection of, whoa, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
It's not always that it's a setback or that you failed.
Right.
Sometimes you need that reflection and be like, oh, okay, I need to give myself some grace and compassion because holy shit, like I've come a long way. And
that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, going from single mom.
Yeah. Sometimes I just shake my head and go, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And I'm so grateful. There's not a day that goes by where I don't remember where I came from.
Yeah.
For everything. So I'm very grateful that I've had all these adventures and these journeys and the successes and the failures and the friendships and the non-friendships. I mean, all of it. I've said this in another podcast too, that from a very young age, I knew that those difficult times in life there was a lesson that had to be taken from them. And I don't know why, but that was always something very clear to me. So I'm very blessed that I've been given that guidance through this for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I hope you continue to celebrate all of the success because what's gone into that. Mm-hmm. And that's what's hard when people on the outside don't know and they can see where you're at now and be like, oh, it must be nice.
Yeah.
Like I see your pictures in Mexico and I'm like, damn, I want to join her and be on the beach there in Mexico. But I also know not even the full story.
Yeah.
But I know enough of your story to be like, damn, she deserves it. And that's inspiring for me. And so when I remember sitting at the coffee shop and having this conversation, post those pictures because people like me need to see that. I need to see as a single mom that that's possible.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Right.
I mean, again, it takes, again, you have to go through the failures and you have to work hard and you have to do all the things. But if I can do it, anybody can.
Right. But if you're not sharing that because of a few negative Nancys, you're doing people like me a disservice by not sharing that and inspiring us that, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your love and support. I'm grateful for you.
Same, girl. Same.
Cool. See, you run into someone at the gym and they end up as a soul sister and you hit each other.
Yeah. actually said that on last week's podcast too. Like, oh, that's another gym friend. That's the only place I ever go and meet people. But honestly, everyone has a story, and I love it there because you're working through something.
Always.
You're showing up for yourself.
Yep.
And so, I think it's a fantastic place to actually open up and get to know people because you've got something in common. So you've got a common ground to start from.
And it's so important to be around people that make you a better person.
Yeah.
If you're with those people that are doing the things that you don't really want to do that are bringing you down, you've got to find a new tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean you need to never talk to them again, but you're going to run into people in life that are toxic.
Yeah.
And that are just not going to where you want to go. You need to prioritize yourself. Again, whether it be their mindset, spirituality, health, fitness, all those things that all come together with personal development. You've got to surround yourself with those people that bring you up and challenge you.
Right. It's doing a little self-assessment, right?
Yeah.
You know what they say, like the 5 people that are around you, like that's a real reflection.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because again, that might once you have that realization, and that's why people don't want to look at that, is because that may then require change.
Yep.
And that's hard when all of a sudden you start losing people that you've known your whole life.
Right. Yep.
And they might create stories about you and, oh, you're too good for me now or whatever. At some point you have to just keep pushing through and knowing that everyone has the time, the season, and life is going to change and people are going to change. And
yeah. And I'm blessed with a husband who loves a challenge and who's pushed me from day one.
That's awesome.
We're at total opposites in every aspect, which can be good and not so good.
Yeah.
But he's always been, you've got to find a way how to make it happen and stop thinking of the reasons why they won't. And my default mode is not, I can do this. We got it. I have to think about my concern, put it away, and then go for it. I'm good at that, but I still have to acknowledge my worries first, where he's just like, go.
Yeah.
So being along for the ride with him has been magical for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty blessed.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about My Fit Tribe, the podcast, the mission, the goal, where people can find you.
Yes, absolutely. So My Fit Tribe podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, and social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Buzzsprout website for the podcast. Originally, it was just a coaching because I am a life coach as well and wanted to bring coaches of all different genres together at one platform so people have different access resources for different parts of their life or seasons, like you mentioned. Because my real job is still too busy, it's really just now it's the podcast mostly. Yeah. Ideally, I'd love to keep growing it as a community where everybody in this personal development space can come together and network. And again, the podcasts are also different.
Yeah,
that
they really are.
Somebody can take something from one of them. I feel blessed. Yeah. Check it out, but make sure you download and find me lots of sponsors.
Yes, same.
Yeah. So if you know, we need sponsors.
Yes. If you would like to sponsor,
can you get like a piece of paper and we can write need sponsors?
We'll put it in the back here, a little backdrop.
But yeah, I'm very grateful for it. But again, if you're listening to someone doing a podcast, or if you're listening to a guest on a podcast, or if you're listening to someone posting on their story, like give a like. Comment, thanks for sharing. Just those little things. You don't need to send them 5 paragraphs of Yahoo, but a little bit of reinforcement to anybody, I think just really goes a long way. So if everybody could just take a day to just kind of go, thank you. Thank you for putting it out there. I think that goes a long way for everybody, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And you have been fantastic at that.
Thank you. Good cheerleader.
Yeah. It's the little things when you're sitting behind the mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's days where you're just like,
oh, I know.
We're passionate about it. And I will continue to work through this and push through that. But yeah, it's those little things that that really make a difference. So leaving a comment and liking, sharing,
sharing, download and share.
Download. Did you hear that?
You got to hit that little arrow button.
I don't care if you delete it right after. Just download the freaking episode.
Because if you just stream it, it doesn't count. I mean, it counts. It takes me from it, but yeah, people I'm like, I never knew that. Like you had to download it for it to register. I'm like, oh, and then you get a little obsessed over looking at the numbers, which I hate. So again, not the outcome, but again, just when you get a message going, hey, I listened to that podcast and it really moved me, or it's an alternative treatment I never thought of, or that's a perspective I felt I needed to relate to. There's so many little things that if you get something from it, just send a message. I even send messages to like Ed Milet.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, great podcast. And Gary Brecka, because my goal is to connect with them.
Oh, I know.
Somehow I was like, hey, that was awesome. And they'll respond. They'll just say, thanks for sharing, even though it's their marketing manager.
Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, well. Well, I thought it too. Like, okay, you have to kind of put yourself in that energy. I think about Mel Robbins, and if I can be the Mel Robbins of inner child work, like, yes, but I need to be in that mindset. And I listen to her podcast, like, oh, she's putting ads in there.
Yeah.
Why am I not putting ads in my podcast? Like, well, because I don't want to seem like I'm selling stuff or that. Like,
I know.
Tami.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, before I even started this podcast, Aria said to me, when are you going to start taking care of yourself, Mom? And I was like,
yeah, it's really hard. And we do take care of ourselves because, you know, we're working on our nutrition and our fitness, and we're trying to do all the things, but there's so much more. Like there's so much we can do to help get to that best version of ourselves, whatever that may be at the season of life that you're in. But sponsors would really help.
Sponsors would help. Well, and it just it expands that reach.
Yes, absolutely.
People need to hear this message. How is that going to get out? Through that kind of work.
Yeah. And sharing the podcast, that means sending it to friends or posting it on your social media or whatever. That it goes a long ways, because when people don't share and they listen to one episode, you know, you want to keep it growing. That's the biggest goal.
Right.
So
what I always think too, like if I'm investing, you know, I'll watch something on YouTube, and if I'm investing any time in that and I'm engaged in it, I'm going to like that for that person. It's a simple little thing I can do. Like, I just spent an hour with you.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the time that you put into creating this message that I got something out of.
Right.
I can give you a freaking thumbs up.
Yeah. And especially when you're putting yourself out there in the vulnerable state. I mean,
yeah.
You have a lot on social media. I don't do as much on social media as far as everything we just talked about. But
there now.
I think when you're vulnerable for people, getting that reinforcement, like, hey, thanks for sharing, or, you know, it's good. That's really important, because it's hard to talk about stuff that's close to here.
Right.
That's hard for anybody to talk about their journey. And, you know, you just hope that you're making a difference.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So yes, if you would like to sponsor the Tami Talks Unscripted Healing Podcast and the My Fit Tribe, we should give them like a BOGO, like a some sort of like package deal. Come on,
you can do that.
Sponsor us.
All you companies out there, you want to. We have a great reach, especially in the Madison area, but even like worldwide, we'll do anything.
We'll go worldwide. Well, whatever.
Put it out there.
Yes.
Yeah, just DM us.
Show, come on.
Just DM us. Protein, element, like all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Yes, we're begging.
I love it. No, we're putting out the energy. Give, receive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. You have to ask if you want to receive. And that's for signs. That's for communication. If you need to hear something from someone, you have to learn to ask. And that's really hard for us.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We'll work on that.
Yes. We are vowing that we will work on that. And next time
we knock on your door for
start knocking on doors.
Hi. Sponsor, please.
All right, we're putting it out there, and that's going to be our own little clip.
Yeah.
Social media, we'll just send it out and like, who wants to sponsor this?
So necessary. I really want.
I was going to say, who wants to sponsor the shit show? But we said smoke show earlier.
Show. Yeah.
Who wants to sponsor the smoke show? I think this might work. This is how we go viral. We were talking earlier about what do we need? Dancing cats in the background?
No, we have flexing Erika and Tami.
Oh, this is it right here. This moment, you saw it here.
Yep. Come on.
Oh my gosh, too funny.
Oh goodness,
you
did it.
This is what happens when you.
Well, thank you for making this a comfortable experience for the most part. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, again, being on this side of the mic is very different. So I wouldn't want to do that with anybody else. So thank you.
Well, and you did the same for me. It felt so fun to be in the studio, and that was a very different vibe. I was like, "Oh, this is fun and professional." She's just here in my living room with a punching bag as my. This is low budget over here because we don't have sponsors.
And
it's just real talk, folks.
Yep. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will link all of my Fit Tribe stuff.
Great.
Share that episode.
Yes, with Kathy. That was
Yes.
very important, very close to me. He talks about my dad. Yeah.
And go listen to all of hers because there is such an amazing variety of guests and different nuggets, and you just never know what you're going to find from someone's story. So,
and sometimes it's just one little thing, one thing that they say, or one tip about nutrition or whatever it may be. There might just be one little blip in there that you're like, maybe I can make a change. And that's where it just starts with one thing and it can snowball.
I was just going to say that. The one thing, if you're someone that is having a hard time creating that time for yourself, it may be that you're just dedicating yourself to listening to a podcast a week.
Right.
Maybe it's every day, but on your way to work, you know what? I'm gonna
Yes.
put on a podcast and maybe instead of listening to music because I need something to pour into me because I'm not ready to do it myself yet where I'm going to the gym and I'm doing these things. Like, could I start with a podcast?
Yeah.
And have someone pour into me? Yeah, start there.
I never listened to podcasts before. And then my friend Vicky told me about it when we were in prep because I'm like, how am I going to get on the stage? Like, do you guys listen to something? Because I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And so then I started listening to Ed Milet and then, Mel Robbins and all the things and kind of came together and listening to those moments. Again, some of them you listen to and you're like, this isn't for me and that's fine. But other ones just really like, okay, maybe I can. It's just that little reinforcement, which we all need. So
awesome.
Yep. Download.
I love it. So I know you asked me a question at the end of, you ask all of your guests a certain question.
Yeah.
But I'm curious of what would you tell little Erika moving forward? You've talked about like what your highest self sees, but like what would you tell little Erika?
Oh, well, telling little Erika is like, look what you've done. Don't forget to see all that you've accomplished. That is super important that I think to remind myself that I've come a long way. I think sometimes when you veer off the path you think you're going to be on, you think you need to quit.
Yeah.
And again, being a single mom young and not getting that college degree and, not following the right steps that I was supposed to. Sometimes you don't feel like you're good enough or, that you miss that. And so I think I would remind her that sweet Erika that she was is the person she's supposed to be and to just keep on going and trust your darn intuition.
And your gifts, and you are creating your own path. You were never meant to follow the traditional path.
Totally. Yep. And own it. Own your life. Own yourself. Be proud and just really step into yourself for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, awesome. Little Erika and little Tam Tam are going to be little besties.
Yeah. We already are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping over here and being a guest on my podcast and for supporting me and cheering me on this entire time as well. So
been a pleasure.
All right. So go like, follow, subscribe, both
sponsor
of our podcasts and sponsor. And if it's not for you, maybe you know someone, a company, a business, be like, hey, help these girls out over here.
Every little bit helps.
Yes.
So thank you.
Awesome. Well, until next week, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for pressing play. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the energy exchange and for holding space for Erika while she got vulnerable with all of you guys today. So it's not easy. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for making me vulnerable.
Yes, I love it. That's what we're here for. All right. Until next week. Thank you all. Oh.